I'm here to tell you, don't buy the Galaxy S25 Edge. Welcome back to SamMobile TV. You're here with Daniel. And it's been about a week and a bit with my Galaxy S25 Edge in hand. And ultimately, I've arrived at the conclusion that you shouldn't buy this phone, but not for the reasons that you might be thinking. It's a polarizing device. I get it. The price is high, the battery capacity is low, and the features have kind of been stripped away, especially compared to the S25 Ultra, which gives you all these cameras on the back, a big battery, and an S Pen as well. But the Edge isn't about the features that it has or the numbers on a spec sheet. It's about the feeling that it gives you when you're using it. And if you're not ready for that, you shouldn't get this. It's been a phone that when I see it sitting there on a table, I just have to be holding it because it doesn't feel like much. It's 163 grams in weight and is only 5.8 millimeters thin across here, which makes for an incredible in-hand ergonomic feel. Honestly, do not remember another phone giving me this sort of feeling in the hand. Reason why it's got that sort of feeling is because it almost reminds me of a phone from like 10 years ago, but it has all of the internals of a phone from now and a 6.7-inch screen on the front, which again sort of belies what you're sort of looking at, especially when it's just sitting there. When you see this on a table, your instant thought goes to, well, this must be heavy, but then you pick it up and it's not. It's incredibly light, 163 grams. Now, look, I get it, 163 grams and 5.8 millimeters. It doesn't sound like anything you should be worried about. But the fact is, when you pick this phone up and you hold it, every time you pick up something like the Ultra, it feels heavy in comparison and it feels like a brick. That thickness, that weight truly does make the Ultra feel decades old. This almost feels like the future of what smartphones should be. And if you're not ready for that and you don't want to get used to that feeling, don't get it. Then the cameras have kind of been another sticking point for a lot of people. In my week and a bit with it, I've sort of compared the cameras side by side between the Ultra and the Edge. And what I've found is that the two cameras on here, when you use them for their purpose, are excellent. This 12 megapixel ultra wide here is effectively the same ultra wide camera as the S24 Ultra from last year. That 12 megapixel with dual pixel autofocus, which means you do get the opportunity to grab some macro shots and get in close to something. And then there's the 200 megapixel main camera, which is the same as the one that's on here on the S25 Ultra. f1.7 in aperture, the same sensor size. Samsung have just slimmed down the module around it to ensure it can fit into this slim form factor. In terms of what they can do, they have all of the camera modes that you could want. The only thing that sort of diminishes some of these modes is the hardware. Now, that's only if you're comparing it to the Ultra. If you start comparing it to the Ultra, then yeah, side by side, you clearly can see that on paper, the Ultra wins. You've got the extra telephotos 3 times and a 50 megapixel 5 times, and that just gives you more flexibility and more options. It just does. But moving the Ultra aside and just focusing on the Edge, you start to appreciate the quality that you get. The ultra wide is good. Daytime shots are going to be great. Macro shots also going to be great. But this 200 megapixel main camera, now that it doesn't have any other telephotos next to it, you could actually see the power of what it can do. It can go all the way up to 10 times zoom. And whilst on paper, it doesn't match the quality of the S25 Ultra at 10 times zoom when you see them side by side, again, when you move the Ultra out of the way and you just focus on the Edge, the 10 times zoom shots that you get on here are actually quite good. They're better than what you would get on any other phone that doesn't have a telephoto camera. And that's because the high res zoom is sort of cropping in to the middle section or whatever it can get to capture that resolution. I think it's honestly great to have. Mid-range zoom shots are going to be really good. You're going to get lots of detail. You're going to get nice sort of bokeh effect because it's a large sensor size. There's a lot to like about it. So if you're someone who, I guess, just likes to take the quick photo and you're really just a main camera user and you maybe zoom in maximum to 5 times, this will serve you just right. It's all about knowing what you want out of a phone. Because if you see yourself needing this extra zoom and this extra flexibility, again, don't get the Edge. Just stick with the Ultra or something similar. Video is a bit of a different story. The zoom situation with video isn't as strong. Because with photos, you can kind of clean things up with processing a lot better. Videos takes a little bit more work to do that in real time. And you can see a difference when you get into sort of the more sort of longer zoom ranges between these two phones. But I'm not reviewing the Ultra here. I'm reviewing the Edge. And the rest of the video features, all of the modes that it has, is great. The resolution, the output, it's all of a high caliber because it's a flagship phone. And a flagship phone has a flagship processor. Inside here is the 8 Elite for Galaxy. The same 8 Elite for Galaxy, which I've had confirmed by Samsung, that is in the S25 Ultra. The only thing that separates the two from a performance standpoint is that this is using a 3,900 milliamp hour battery and the Ultra is 5,000. Now, I'm not comparing this to the Ultra. This is not a comparison video. The 3,900 milliamp hour battery is hardware limited. There's no question about that. But is that capacity going to be enough for the general smartphone user? As someone who has been using this as a general smartphone, not in the way that I would use my Ultra, because let's face it, I am an Ultra user, then yes, my answer is yes, it will. My battery experience so far with this has been quite strong.
But I need more information to understand what yes it will refers to.
I wasn't talking to you, Gemini. In my week and a half with it, and I know that's not really the best barometer of how long a smartphone can last for, it's been okay. My first sort of day or two with it, you can see the battery start here was 4 hours and 7 minutes of screen on time, 12 hours 44 screen off, 19%. But it started to get a bit better. The next day was about just under 3 hours with 49% to go of screen on time. Then it steadily got better again. If you look at this one here, with 77% battery left, I almost was at 2 hours of screen on time. Not bad. That day sort of continued to get stronger. And you can see with 59% left, 3 hours and 7 minutes of screen on time and 4 hours and 52 of screen off. And then the end of that day was 5 hours and 6 minutes with 16% to go. Total usage about 14 and a half hours. For most people, that's a full day of usage. From the moment they get up to when they come home at night, that's full day of usage. Now, has it been good for everyone? No. Our writing team have had some issues with their battery usage. Again, they could just be going through teething issues when it comes to optimization in the early stages of phone ownership. It's not going to be a consistent experience. And if that bothers you, if that battery uncertainty is going to get you, then again, don't buy this phone because you will probably enjoy the in-hand experience, but then you'll get that battery anxiety and you won't be able to enjoy it anymore. So that's a reason not to get it. But if you can sort of look past that and you're someone who looks at your own battery usage and is like, yeah, you know what, my average screen on time is about 3 to 4 hours each day, then this is the phone you can get. Because what you're paying for here isn't necessarily the spec sheet. It's not the fact that you're paying for the cameras on here. It's not that you're paying for the 8 Elite for Galaxy or the 3,900 milliamp hour battery or the very excellent 6.7-inch display, which just is superb. And now you're paying for that. You are paying for vibes. I know that sounds ridiculous to say out loud, and I almost want to punch myself in the face for saying it, but you are, because you're paying for a phone that feels different to any other phone you've held before. You're paying for premium materials that make this phone stand out from other phones that you might have used in the past. Thick, heavy, standard experience flagships versus what is probably going to be a future indictment of what the industry might go to. Thin flagships, but that remain powerful with high-end cameras that everything gets re-engineered to suit this form factor. You might not think you want it, but honestly, when you pick it up and you use it, it literally changes your mind. If all of that doesn't sound appealing to you, if you don't want or don't think that you want a phone that can sit differently in your hand and give you a different feeling from using a smartphone, then I repeat, do not buy the Galaxy S25 Edge. But if what I've said sounds appealing, if you want to sort of reduce hand fatigue, give yourself a different hand experience from using a smartphone, get a big phone and a small phone at the same time, the Edge is for you. I have no hesitation in recommending it based off of that. But if anything sounds out of place, camera, battery, durability, if you're worried about that, then don't get it. Hit subscribe to SamMobile TV. Feel free to join us as a member as well, so you can get early access to videos like this. And go visit us on our website for all other news, reviews, and the latest in Samsung. And we'll see you guys next time. Thanks.